Let's go to Ben in Southend. Good evening.
Hiya, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it. A little bit of a long story, but I'll try and make it as fast as possible. I'm actually ringing up on behalf of a family member who is not really confident enough to ring up themselves. They've been travelling to London. This is all to do with the ULEZ and the ULEZ charges. They've been travelling to London, and unfortunately, they made a mistake that they did not check where their car was registered at the point where they moved address. Now, he owns a...
Do you mean they didn't notify the DVLA of a new address when they moved?
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yes, that's exactly it. So, and that is complete and mistake on his part, or their part. Completely understand that, right? Sorry. So they've been travelling, going to London, and unfortunately, somehow, because they were under the assumption their car was ULEZ compliant, and isn't by 1 year, to be clear.
I know what's coming, Ben. So not only did they fail to pay the charge day after day after day after day, but because DVLA didn't have their address, and presumably they hadn't bothered doing post office forwarding, they didn't know about the outstanding charges and then all the fines they got on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. So it should long story short, they've racked up about 100 charges, right, which is equivalent after it's gone to enforcement of about 20 grand.
Whoa.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, obviously there's negligence on their part. They're fully aware that there's negligence on their part. However, every single person that we've spoken to as a family, because obviously this is a huge matter, right? This can ruin someone's life, right? Everybody that we spoke to said, look, realistically, you're probably just going to have to pay the whole amount back. And I just feel that that's crazy, right? Like, to have to expect somebody to pay 20 grand worth of charges. I mean, even if they rolled it back to so he'd already, to be clear, they've already made statutory declarations and been to a charity to get some breathing room, and to pay £500 for statutory declarations on 50 of the notices, right?
Yeah.
But I guess the reason why I'm ringing up is to understand if there is any other direction to take this, because at the moment it looks bleak.
Yeah, yes. Transport for London has discretion to waive these things, but they don't. And if you appeal the penalties, and it's probably too late to do it anyway, the law says that the adjudicators don't have any discretion to waive the penalties. If, no matter what the mitigating circumstances, no matter how strong those mitigating circumstances may be, the law says that the adjudicators can't waive those penalties. There is just no discretion to waive them. So I think you said relative. I think your relative is stuffed here legally, I'm afraid. The options for them are bluntly to speak to somebody about debt management and possibly, and I don't like saying this, consider bankruptcy. Yeah.
I mean, the only issue is obviously that they have assets which would be affected by bankruptcy. So it's unfortunately not a realistic. I mean, if it has to be realistic, but it is not an ideal situation, right?
Yeah.
It was just more to make sure that we'd covered all the legal ground more than anything, because again, like I said, this is life changing, right? For something which was an honest mistake.
Ben, I'm so sorry. Look, you can't close the stable door after the horse has bolted.
Obviously.
There were so many mistakes made here, including not setting up mail forwarding, which is another one that you didn't mention. But nothing I can say is going to close the wound. He's liable for the money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the honesty and the forwardness of it, really, to be honest. It's just to make sure that, getting it from another source to make sure that we were covering all grounds, that's all.
Yep. Ben, thank you. All the best to your relative.